Welcome to this second live of 3 during the month of January. Today we're going to be talking about how to prepare for teaching in South Korea. So in just a minute here, I will invite Kailia, the current ambassador who's teaching in South Korea through CIEE, and we'll go from there. So just give me a few minutes, we'll get her in the room, and then we'll get the conversation started. If you have any questions, of course, you can always put them in the question box. You can comment them, and we'll do our best to answer during the live. So thank you guys for coming. Let me just get Kailia into the room here. Hi, everyone. We're just going to wait for Kailia to join us today for a conversation to talk about how to prepare for teaching in South Korea. While we're waiting, you guys can put in the comments where you guys are joining from today. Always interesting to hear where everyone's joining from. Let's see. Just gonna wait a little bit here. Just trying to get Kailia in the room. Sometimes there's a little bit of a learning curve here with getting people into the live. Let's see if we can get her in. Yay. Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm tired, but I'm good.
Yes, because it's really late where you are. Will you tell us where you are and how late it is?
So I'm currently in Ulsan, South Korea, and it's 10 p.m.
Yes. So thank you so much for coming so late. I know that this is a long day for you since you've been at school teaching,
Yes.
and now are here to talk to us about teaching in South Korea. So bringing it full circle today.
Yes. But I'm ready.
Yeah. Well, and how long have you been teaching now in South Korea?
So I came here August 2022. So
Okay.
like a year and a half almost in
Yeah.
February.
So you have lots of good experience of what it's like to live abroad, especially in South Korea. And so today, I know we've had a live with you once before. So if you guys want to check that out, where Kylie answers kind of some more general questions about teaching in South Korea. But today we're going to be specifically talking about like the preparation process and just some general fears that people might have for living abroad in general, but also specific to South Korea. So I have my notes. If I'm looking down, I'm looking at my notes, I promise, to make sure that we hit all of the questions that we had prepared. So I think, jumping right into it, sometimes when people are thinking about teaching abroad, and specifically in South Korea, there's a fear of how to communicate in Korea. So can you talk a little bit about how you've been able to communicate and maybe some strategies to help folks who are preparing at home before they go teach abroad?
Yeah, of course. So actually, like a lot of my foreign friends here, they don't speak any Korean and they get by just fine because like there's really like a big like community that wants to learn English even if you're in like a super small city like Ulsan. There's like a lot of older people who don't speak English but like they still try to like communicate with you. So I feel like not knowing English doesn't like hinder your experiences that you can have here. Although I do suggest like at least learning how to like read Korean because a lot of the signs and like a lot of the menus are written in like Konglish. So like if you can read it, you'll have a pretty easy time like just like, oh, like that's the name of the station that I'm supposed to get off at, or like, oh, that's like a vanilla latte because it's just Konglish. So I think it's been a lot easier for me just being able to read it. And my friends always turn to me and they're like, Kylie, what does it say? And I'm like, I can read it, but like, unless it's English written in Korean, I don't know. And they're like, well, you're better than me. And I'm like, okay, but like, we're still confused. But there's always someone who can like help you, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think kind of rolling with the punches is good for learning language. I think it's expected that there'll be things that you won't know, and that's okay, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Oh, for
and there'll be
sure.
people, yeah, there'll be people that will help you and whatnot. And was there anything that you did to prepare before you left for Korea that was helpful?
In
Yeah,
language learning or in
yeah, and
general?
language learning specifically.
Um, Not too much. I mean, I was using
Yeah,
Duolingo like most people do. Um, I made sure that I learned the alphabet and like had it memorized. And then just like some of the basic phrases like hello, sorry, excuse me, just like some of those basic ones so like I wasn't perceived as like rude or like ignorant.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, good to have the basics and equip yourself with that before you leave. And Duolingo is fantastic.
Yeah.
I know Duolingo. It gets better every year. I feel like they always have some kind of updates. It's always like gamified. I don't know. It's a lot of fun to play around with Duolingo for sure. Well, and the next thing is it kind of goes along with communicating, but getting lost and navigating transportation. That can be kind of scary at first if you're in a place that you don't know and in a place that you don't know the language as well. So, any tips and tricks for navigating around South Korea?
Yeah, so before people come, they should definitely download Cacao Maps and like Naver Maps and Cacao Taxi. Those are like my top three travel ones. So like Cacao Taxi, just like it's a taxi. So it's super foreign friendly. It's in English, like so you don't have to worry about it, and you just put in like your address or wherever you're going, and it's like super easy. They just like come pick you up. I say hello, and then like we don't talk, and they just go straight to where I need to be, and then I pay them, I say thank you, and then I get out. Super quick, super easy. Cacao Maps is like just like transport for subway and like the bus system, but typically Cacao Maps is like more geared towards like Korean,
Mhm,
whereas like Naver is like more like the foreign navigation app where like a lot of the stuff is like in English.
mhm,
Um, but like sometimes they can be finicky. Like Naver works better for like big cities and like
mhm,
Cacao works better for like smaller towns. And
mhm.
Cacao's usually more accurate. So like if you know a little Korean, like Cacao's more accurate, but you can definitely get by with just Naver. That's the one I use all the time with my
Yeah,
friends. So
yeah, yeah. That's super helpful to know. Well, I think another thing that people ask about teaching abroad is when I think kind of a concept in general is that maybe public transportation in the U.S., depending on where you're from, isn't great. So, how do you think public transportation compares from South Korea to the U.S.?
so like where I lived in like the US, like there wasn't really a lot of like public
Hmm.
transportation. Like you definitely needed a car.
Yeah.
So like it's nice having public transportation here in Korea, but
Hmm.
like also it's like because it's like you have to follow like the bus's schedule. So
Yeah.
like if I'm running late, like I'm gonna miss the bus and I have to wait 30 minutes for the next
Hmm.
one. So it's like a little inconvenient in that way, or like you never know when the bus is coming. Sometimes it has no ETA, and then the next minute it's like, oh, 2 minutes. So it can be a little stressful, but like it's really nice, really easy to use,
Hmm.
and like it's really clean.
Yeah.
Although the bus drivers drive a little crazily sometimes, so make sure you are holding on, please.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I think you have to plan a little bit more if you're going to use public transportation. But yeah, I mean, I think if you're able to plan ahead, it's definitely better than having to take a car every single place, I think. um,
Yes,
that
definitely.
can be a hindrance there, but cool. So I guess the next question is, oh, not knowing how to make new friends. I think in as an adult, I feel like a lot of times if you're moving to a new place, that can be something that is scary, right? Making new friends and meeting new people. How has your experience been with making new friends abroad?
I think I've been pretty good about it. Um, so when I first came to Korea, I made sure to like talk to my coworkers.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes you have coworkers where like it will only be a coworker friendship, and sometimes it'll go past that. So thankfully when I first came, it went past that. So they like showed me a couple foreign friendly like bars, restaurants, and like language exchanges. So they
Mm-hmm.
introduced me to like all these different routes that I could take to make new friends. Um, and so I just took advantage of those. Like I went to the bar and like would order food and just like talk to people who were also there alone. And then they would introduce me to their friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to like a language and cultural exchange. So I met like a lot of Korean people through that and was able to like maintain long
Mm-hmm.
friendships. So, um, most of my friends, they also looked on Facebook
Mm-hmm.
for like groups that were meeting in like their city, and that's how they met like other foreigners and like sometimes Koreans as well. Definitely, if you do an exchange, you can like mingle with more Korean people versus like going to a foreign bar or something.
Yeah. Is that are the language exchanges or the cultural exchanges also good opportunities to practice Korean as well?
I don't think so, um,
That's why I ask
because
it
I feel like,
because it could be,
yeah,
right? But it depends.
yeah, from my experience, most of the time the meetings were held in English.
Okay.
All the games were played in English. Um, if you're, I would say like um, high beginner or like low intermediate, like in that range, um, maybe like you can get some Korean practice in there. But like if you're just starting out, typically there's not much Korean learning going on. It's usually you have to like immerse yourself into a conversation to get
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah, you got to delve right in there. So that it's good then to have a little bit of a base if you're wanting to practice your Korean at those types of meetups. For sure.
Yes, yes.
Cool. Well, the next topic is dealing with homesickness. So, this is something that happens. Maybe you're not able to go back home for a long period of time. I would anticipate that that's usually the case, especially if you have a 12-month or more contract. And so, how do you navigate that? Like, what can you give as advice for navigating homesickness abroad?
Mhm. I mean, the obvious, of course, like just like set up phone
Hmm.
calls with your friends and your family, like, but like not just phone calls, but like Skyping or like FaceTiming. I do that like monthly at like the beginning of the month. I like message everyone and I'm like, okay, so who's free on this day? And like blah 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 blah. And then we like make a call. So I do that every month. Um, Finding things in your city or town that like remind you of home. So like when I miss like the US, like I go to one of my friends like favorite bars because like the owner there is American.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I can just like have a chat and we just like talk about things that only American people like understand. Like we have the inside jokes and everything and we're just like going at it, and like the food is very familiar, like it's very Americanized, so it's just like a little piece of home here in Korea. So I think
Hmm.
finding a place like that and then just keeping in contact with like your family and friends from back home can like help alleviate that
Hmm.
homesickness.
Yeah, I feel like you if you have to schedule it, schedule it. Because
Yes.
sometimes the time difference can be rough. But as long as you're setting the effort. I like that your idea of doing it at the beginning of the month, like saying like who's available when, and to kind of figure that out because then it becomes more of a routine, and then you can have something to look forward to if you're really feeling homesick.
Yes,
That's great.
everyone's so busy that you have to do it early.
Yes, yes, exactly. And you will be busy too, I'm sure.
Yes.
Cool. Well, the next one is teaching for the first time. So, was this your first time teaching in a classroom?
Yes, this was my first time.
And kind of how are you feeling beforehand? And what kind of advice could you give to someone preparing to teach for the first time?
I mean, before I came into it, I was super nervous. I was a nervous wreck. My first day, I was like whispering to the kids because I was so scared and just like standing there, like I didn't know what to do with myself. Um, but like it really is just like, I mean, it's kind of like making new friends.
Hmm.
Like you just gotta like throw yourself in there.
Totally.
So like just like talk to the kids, just be like, "Hey, how are you? Like what's your name?" Like really get to know the kids because if you're comfortable with the students, then you'll be comfortable doing your job.
Hmm.
So I really focus on like getting to know my students so then I could get a feel for how I should run my classroom. So that's like my biggest point of advice. And then like the other is just like, go online and like look at lesson planning ideas, games, like always have a few games like in your pocket in case like something you had planned doesn't work out and then you have something they like,
Hmm.
just like just in case. Um and like I mean don't be afraid to try new things. Some kids will hate it, some kids will love it, and then you'll just figure it out. It's okay.
Yeah. Not everyone's gonna like it the first time around. That's all. That's true. Um, well, and I think what you're saying about just having some few, few games if things don't work out the way that you had imagined or had planned that they were going to work out, I think always having a couple tools in your back pocket is key. Um, I know for when I was teaching abroad, it was like I always had a brief presentation on who I was so that the students can open up to you. If you open up to them first, a lot of times it's easier for them to open up to you. So something like that to get the ball rolling when you're first getting started with teaching. Well, then the last thing in terms of like fears and hesitations maybe with choosing to teach abroad, particularly in South Korea, is like living alone or living away from home in a brand new country for the first time. Like, have you been to South Korea before you went to teach abroad? Have you lived alone before? Kind of tell us a little bit about your personal experience and maybe any advice that you have.
Mhm. So I did visit Korea before as an exchange student, so I kind of had an idea, but like then I was like living in a dorm, and like
Hmm.
this time I'm living in an apartment, so it's very different.
Hmm.
Um, but so I feel like I had a good feel for like Korea in general, like just the area, the layout of the country. Um, but I mean, living alone, I'd never done before until now. I mean, it's nice because you just have a space to yourself. You can do whatever you want. Um, but then, like, I don't know, it gets a little lonely, I guess.
Totally.
But like, I have like neighbors. So then, like, if I'm lonely, I just go bother my neighbors because they're my
Hmm.
co-teachers. So, Um, and usually that's the case when you come to Korea, is that you'll live in like the same building as like your other foreign teachers. So you may feel lonely, but like if you're close to them, then you can always go talk to them. Or um, I don't know, like you can find a lot of new hobbies here in Korea too. So it's like, yeah, you live alone, but like Korea has so many different cafes that are like themed with like pottery, ring making, like literally anything. So like if you're bored, you can just like go out and find one of those and then like have a solo date or something and then learn a new hobby.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotta get out of the house.
Yes, don't stay in your apartment alone, please.
Yeah. Yeah. Get out, explore the culture. One, so that's kind of that wraps up kind of the fears part, but specifically for South Korea, I feel like there are so many things that people might not know about South Korea that are super unique and cool opportunities to take advantage of. And so we've kind of constructed a list, and we'll kind of go down the list, and you can share more details on what each item of the list means. But just some really cool things to look forward to if you're thinking about teaching in South Korea, or why you should teach in South Korea if you haven't thought about it before. So the first thing that we have written down on the list is food. Can you tell us a little about more about the food and why people could look forward to and should look forward to eating the food in Korea?
Okay, so I feel like some people are gonna look forward to it and then some people aren't gonna look forward to it. But like Korean food is really interesting because they just like they make it different, like the processes that they go through, especially with like their vegetables, like
Mm,
fermenting them and stuff and putting them in like a special refrigerator, like not just a normal one, but like my Korean teachers were telling me they have like a kimchi refrigerator.
nice.
So like it's different. So it's like the way they just like store their food and go about cooking it is very different from the US. So like it will taste amazing. Like you may not know what you're
Mhm.
eating, but it's going to taste good. Um, but most likely it's gonna be spicy. So like if you don't like spicy, you might struggle a little bit, but one of my friends, she's like thinks black pepper is spicy and she's
Mm,
fine in Korea. She's okay. So there's something here for like everyone. They have a lot of like Western restaurants if that's what you're into, but like with a Korean twist because like the
mm,
chefs are Korean, so they add a little bit of like Korean flavor to the like traditional pasta or like chicken
mhm,
dishes. Um, Definitely when you come, you have to have the Korean barbecue,
mhm,
Korean fried chicken, and you have to try like their very traditional like rice dish, bibimbap, which is like rice, red spicy paste, and like vegetables. But it's like a traditional dish and it's like really good and like
mhm.
good for you. So a lot of the food is good for you as well.
Mm.
So it tastes delicious and it's healthy. The best of both worlds.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I have not heard one bad thing about Korean food, so that's definitely something to look forward to. And what really with moving to a different place in general, I feel like there's always something new to try, so you gotta be open-minded and just get into it. You're probably gonna like it.
Yeah.
Um, and then things to look forward to. The cuteness. That's the next thing on the list. Will you explain what that means? What does cuteness mean? You already kind of touched on cafes a little bit, but if you could expand, that'd be great.
Yes. So Korea is just cute everything. Like their wallets, their clothes, their cups, their silverware. They have like a store called Art Box that like all my students love going to, and it's just full of like cute toys, cute stationery, like stickers, socks, like toys, like everything, notebooks, photo cards, jewelry. It's like everything is cute and like even like you'll see the most like business building, but like their posters or like one random wall you'll just turn around and there will be like a teddy bear like helping to advertise for the company. Like it's just very cute because cute sells. So
True.
yeah, like Korea knows that. They know it sells. So everything here is super cute. You can just buy a water bottle and like they'll just make it cute. Like you're like, "Oh, I just need like a standard water bottle." And like you'll go to the store like looking for a black one. You won't find it. You'll find a black one with teddy bears or a black one with penguins, but you won't find a plain black water bottle.
Nice, nice. One, have you gone to, because you said that there was lots of like cafes where you can go pick up like a hobby or something like that. Can you give any examples of what kind of things that you've maybe made or done at these cafes?
Yeah, so I went to oh, you can't see my phone case, but I went to a phone case cafe where you can make slime or you can make your own phone case. So you can pick like your own charms and then glue them on yourself and then they like dry it for you and let you take it home. I've also been to like a ring making
Mm,
cafe. So like they show you how to like make the clay, make the mold, and like you pick out your jewels and then they like heat it up for you and like let you take it home. Um there's also like pottery. So like you can make a bowl or a mug and like they help you um and then they like call you when it's ready and then you can take it. So like yeah, it's just like there's so many different things to do, like just one day classes. Like you can go to a painting cafe. So like you can just go order a coffee and they when they give you your coffee, your tray has paint and a paintbrush
mm,
and then you can pick a picture. So like you just paid for the coffee, but like you get to paint as well. So
nice.
yeah, yeah, they know what they're doing over here.
Nice, nice. Well, yeah, I remember, I think you posted a TikTok about the ring making class that you took. That has got to be super cool. Do you still wear the ring?
Yeah, I just wore it yesterday.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Yeah, that would be super cool. Yeah. So lots of cute little things to do. I think, well, we'll get to some travel related things later, but I think another pretty obvious one about South Korea is skincare. Can you tell us your experience with the skincare and is it radically different than the US? Like, what are the big perks, I guess, of Korean skincare?
So I have a love-hate with Korea when it comes to like my skin personally.
Hmm.
Um, so when I came to Korea, the water pressure here
Mm,
and like just the water is very different. So when I first came and I showered, I broke out
mm,
so bad. So I was like, oh no. But I'm like, at least I'm in the skincare capital. So I just went to like Olive Young and like I didn't even know what these like products were. I just grabbed them and then like within a week they had worked. Like it got rid of it. And like I didn't know what those products would do, but they still like helped my skin. So like that just proved to me like, oh, like Korea is where it's at. Because in the States I would buy it and then like it wouldn't work. Sometimes it would
mhm.
make it worse. But like here, it's like I didn't even know what I was buying and it still worked. So
Yeah. Nice.
I love it.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, I mean, I've heard great things about Korean skincare, so by all means, sounds fantastic.
And
Well, I guess,
it's super to
yeah, tell me.
go to the dermatologist here too.
Oh, nice.
So if you have like acne, so I went to the dermatologist and they like prescribed me like skincare and it worked amazing. Like if I have something, I put it on and the next like within a few hours it's like gone. So the healthcare here for the American, the healthcare.
Yeah, I mean, dermatologist is pretty nice to be able to go and get that taken care of.
Yes.
Um, Cool. Well, and I guess so you just talked about healthcare a little bit there. But I also wanted to talk about the perks of the work contract in South Korea as well. I think that's something that's big to look forward to for South Korea specifically. So things like the free housing and what other benefits have you experienced with your work contract?
So I feel like when I came my first year, like obviously I got the perks of like not having to pay rent,
Hmm.
which was amazing. Um, because like then I get to keep more of my paycheck for just me. Um, but I feel like my first year, like that's what I was most excited about, like not paying rent.
Yeah.
And now that I've like kind of renewed my contract for more, like I've experienced a lot more of those perks
Hmm.
because like the contracts for the private schools are very negotiable. So even before before you accept a job offer, sometimes you can negotiate with the school before you sign on. But because it was my first time, like I was too scared to like negotiate with them. So I just took what they gave me, which was still nice. Like I got the 11 days of holiday and like rent-free accommodations, and it came fully furnished with like kitchen stuff, bathroom stuff, like everything. So I didn't really have to go out and like buy anything. And then
Hmm.
my school was really nice and like they gave me some like food as well. Um, so yeah, like it comes equipped for you. So you're not really having to like pay for too many things when you first get
Hmm.
here. Um, and like usually if you ask your director, they can also like help you get what you need for like maybe a lower price. So like Korean people are very like helpful.
Hmm.
Like if you ask for help, they're very helpful. Um, but like now that I've renewed, like I got to negotiate for like higher pay and also more vacation days. So I feel like the flexibility of like being able to change your contract is what I like the most about working in Korea.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely say from experience, kind of seeing the contracts that are given in other locations, I feel like South Korea is definitely the most competitive in terms of benefits. So that's a huge pull if you're looking to save money, be able to negotiate your salary potentially, things like that. You definitely think about South Korea, and the paid vacation time too is not bad. As well as the free housing. I feel like that's a big one too. Not having to think about paying for rent. Um, pretty awesome. So okay, we'll do one more. I know we're going a little bit over time actually, but just to talk about one last thing to look forward to is traveling. I think a lot of people decide to teach abroad because they want to travel. And so, how has your experience been with being able to travel while you're teaching abroad?
Um, so I've been a little lame because I've only really like traveled around Korea,
Hmm.
which it's super easy to travel within Korea. Like the KTX train is amazing. So like from down here in Ulsan to the top, like in Seoul, it takes like 2.5 hours on the KTX. So like it's pretty fast because in the US I'm used to like driving like 6.5 hours to the closest place.
Hmm.
So um that's been super amazing. I've been able to see a lot of Korea. And like it's fairly cheap to travel as well because it is like public transportation, or you could even like rent a car. And if you go with friends, it's also like fairly cheap as well. Um, but I know a lot of my other friends, they have like traveled to Japan because it's so close and you can take a ferry from Korea to Fukuoka. So it's for super cheap. Um, so it's super easy to go there. Also, I had a friend who like traveled all around like Asia. She went to like Thailand, Vietnam, the Philippines. Like she did all of that in like a month before she like left Korea for good.
Hmm.
So like Korea is just very close to a lot of other countries. So I think if you want to travel, it's like in a prime spot to like visit other like Asian countries, especially are super easy. Or even Australia. Like it's not that expensive to travel to Australia as well.
Ah, yeah. So yeah, lots of opportunities. I think it always will probably depend on when you have time off from work, right? But yeah, highly encourage to get out. Especially I think a lot of people think like traveling around Asia or getting out of South Korea. But it is true that traveling within South Korea is important too, or whatever country that you're teaching in, so that you can really experience the culture in various different places, because it's always a little bit different everywhere. So, great. Well, that's the last thing on my list to talk about today. But I wanted to thank you, Kylia, again for joining us today. It's so nice to hear your perspective. And of course, if anyone has any questions about teaching in South Korea, please feel free to reach out to CIE Teach or Kylia herself, about teaching abroad. So thank you so much and good night now.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. We'll talk to you later. See you
Yeah.
guys.